Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I am going to explain some basic terminologies like propagation delay, slew and clock skew. So without any delay, let's get started. So the propagation delay of a cell or a logic gate is defined as the time that it takes for an input to show its effect on the output. Let's understand this with an example of a CMOS inverter gate. As we know that for a CMOS inverter cell, when the input is rising from 0 to 1, output should fall from 1 to 0. But as you can see here, the input is not showing its effect on the output immediately. It is taking some time. So this time is nothing but the propagation delay. So now from where exactly shall we measure the propagation delay with respect to input and output waveforms? So to answer this question, there are certain thresholds that are defined in timing library, which is .lib. And those threshold points are defined using these four variables in the .lib. Now as you can see, the threshold point for an input falling edge is 50. 50 means 50% of VDD. Similarly, for an input rising edge, output falling edge, output rising edge also, the threshold point is 50% of VDD. What it means is that the propagation delay is calculated as the difference between the times when the transitioning input reaches 50% of its final value to the time when the output reaches 50% of its final value. And since here the output is falling, that's why it is called output fall delay. And here, since the output is rising, that's why it is called output rise delay. Now these threshold points are normally 50% of VDD in most of the standard cell libraries, but it can be different also in some of the libraries. For example, threshold point for falling edge could be 60, or for rising edge it could be 40, or vice versa. The propagation delay of a cell or logic gate is not constant, but it depends on certain factors. And these factors are input transition time and output load. If the input transition time is more, if the input transition time is more, obviously it will take more time for the input to show its effect on the output. So that's why if the input transition time is more, the propagation delay will be more. Similarly, if the output load is more, it will take more time to charge or discharge that capacitive load, and that's why if output load is more, the propagation delay will be more. So how exactly does the tool calculates propagation delay? Again from the .lib. In the .lib, for every cell arc there is a lookup table present which contains the propagation delay values for the corresponding transition time and the output load. So based on the input transition time and the output load, the corresponding propagation delay is picked up. If any exact value of the transition time or output load is not present in the lookup table, then the tool either interpolates or extrapolates the values based on the requirement. Now let's see what is slew. So slew of a waveform is also known as transition time. It is the time that it takes for a signal to transition, either from 1 to 0 or from 0 to 1. And slew rate is defined as the rate of change. Now how do we measure the slew of a waveform? As we saw in the case of propagation delay, there were certain threshold points that were defined in the .lib with respect to which we were measuring the propagation delay. Similarly, in case of slew also, there are certain threshold points that are defined in the .lib with these four variables with respect to which we can measure the slew of a waveform. As you can see, for a falling edge, the lower threshold point is 30% of VDD and the upper threshold point is 70% of VDD. So, for a falling edge, the slew will be measured as the time that it takes for this edge to reach from 70% of VDD to 30% of VDD. So, this time will be the fall slew. Similarly, for the rising edge, it will be from 30% of VDD to 70% of VDD, and this time will be the rise slew and also known as rise transition time. Again, 3070 is not a permanent value. It depends from library to library. It could be 2080 or 1090 as well. So in the case of 2080, this will be the false slew. And if for the rising edge it is 1090, then this will be the rise slew. Now we will see what is skew. So skew is nothing but the difference in timing between two or more signals. These signals could be anything, either data, clock, or both. Mainly we are concerned about clock skew, so we will see what is clock skew. So clock skew is basically the difference in arrival time of clock signal at the endpoint of clock tree. Now let us understand this with the help of a diagram. So as per definition, we saw that the clock skew is the difference in arrival time of clock signal at the endpoints of clock tree. So let's say we want to find the clock skew between these two flops. Then what is the arrival time of clock signal for this flop? This is the arrival time of clock signal for this flop, which is also known as clock latency. And for this flop, this is the latency. And the difference between these arrival times or difference between these latencies is this clock skew. So can we say that the clock skew between any two flops will be the difference of clock latencies associated with those flops? Now in case you want to look at the waveform, so let's say this clock 1 signal is reaching the flip-flop 1 at this point, and this clock 2 signal is reaching the flip-flop 2 at this point. So the difference between their arrival times will be the clock skew. Now right now we were trying to understand the skew with respect to two flops, but this skew can be global or local. So global skew is with respect to the entire design. It is the difference between the longest clock path and the shortest clock path. You can say the difference between the maximum clock latency and the minimum clock latency. Whereas local skew is the difference in the arrival time of clock signal at the clock pin of related flops. Now what are related flops? Any two flops are related if a timing path exists between them. Now a skew can be positive or negative. I have represented this clock skew with the help of this formula. This T capture is nothing but the time that it takes for the clock signal to reach the clock pin of capture flop. Similarly, T launch is the time that it takes for the clock signal to reach the clock pin of launch flop. And the difference between these is the clock skew. Now there will be a positive skew if the clock at the launch flop arrives earlier than the clock at the capture flop. This positive skew is good for setup, but it is bad for hold. I have explained this in my setup time video. Similarly, negative skew is when the capture flop receives the active clock edge earlier than the launch flop. And negative skew is good for hold and bad for setup. This also I have explained in my hold time video. So once the clock tree is built, we can easily calculate the skew. But how do we specify the skew before CTS? We can specify the skew before CTS using these uncertainty constraints. The uncertainty value contains the jitter, the skew, and some additional pessimism also. So for example, for this A clock, the setup uncertainty is 250. So what does this mean? It means that the time which was available for the logic to propagate has been reduced by 250 ps. So this is how, using the uncertainty, we can account for some clock skew before the actual CTS is built. So this is it from my side, guys. If you think the video was useful, please like, share and subscribe, and let me know your feedback in the comment section below. Thanks for watching.